You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Almost. Major. Holy fucking shit, this is major!
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Almost Major, where we talk about the many major studios and films they release. We are on our Film District mini-series. My name is Kevin Tudor. I'm here with Bryden Doyle.
Hello.
And Charlie Nash.
Hello.
And joining us again, he skipped out on 80s New Line because he is a big baby who does not like horror movies, but but also we kind of saved you from most of the shit that we covered anyways. But it's the B-Sides home, Dan Mecca. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Yeah, I am a big baby. Even though I do say to my friend, our friend, Corey Everett, creator of Cinephile Card Game, I always say, like, I have seen more horror than I think I let on, or that he always is saying, like, oh, Dan, don't watch this because you're a big baby. You know, and he's right. He's right about that. But I do watch more than I think
you're giving credit for.
I'm giving credit for, which is okay. I downplay my own, so it's my own fault. I'm just saying. But that, yes, the 80s New Line, I listen to episodes. It's not an over. I can't say.
I don't think anybody at 80s New Line would know how to pronounce that word. So
it's not a. Thank you. Yeah, it's not a batch of movies I was overly familiar with. I have to admit.
Neither were we, honestly.
Film District movies, on the other hand, very familiar with.
Yeah. What's been going on the B-side lately? You've been having some new interviews and stuff. That's been fun.
Yeah, so thank you. Actually, yes, the B-side. We talked to Adrien Brody, Guy Pearce, and Alessandro Nivola all came on to talk about The Brutalist, which was cool because they'd all come on actually before. So they were coming back, and we were chatting about The Brutalist and then some of their B-sides. And then we just recorded a great episode, actually. As we're recording, it's dropping. Queen Latifah with KT. For your references, the podcast, I'm going to make sure that's right. But over in Australia, amazing episode. Queen Latifah, so fun to talk about. And like one of those people who I was saying on the episode, like the coolest thing about the B-side is when you dive into somebody like a Queen Latifah and you kind of go like, oh my God, like she's so great. Like even if you've seen a lot of those movies, you rewatch some of them and you watch some of the B-sides. And I was like re-listening to her music. And I was just kind of like, yeah, man, I like loved her music. And like, I had never seen Living Single. And I was watching episodes of that show, which was a huge show in the 90s. And like, you just kind of go like, that's the reason you do that stuff, right? Like, not unlike you guys, like you're kind of doing these specific, you know, mid-major things. And it's like, you can discover cool things, or even if it's like they're weird things, like the New Line stuff, it's still like, you're like, I can't believe this exists. It's like, you know.
And when you brought Adrien Brody on, you talked about you know, just like when you hosted SNL and you were
I know, dude. It's so funny, dude. I was showing my wife, I was showing her that clip of it. How many people listening do you think know about that?
I hope not.
I feel like it comes up every few months, like when Brody, like, because
does it?
I feel like Brody's been popping up in like stuff like lately,
now.
Especially. But like, I feel like then when you talk about, I don't know, I feel like that's pretty notable, especially because
it's
deranged. I sent it to.
It's 40 seconds long.
I sent it to Jack and Tyler in a group chat we have, and I was just like, see how long you guys can last. I got 20 seconds in.
It's 40. Like, the host intro's music guest thing is 5 seconds long.
Max.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Paul.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's what they always do. And he was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to not do that. And you're just like, and the craziest thing too is, think about the context of that. He had just won the Oscar, which for those who don't know, that was with the thing about him winning for The Penis was like, it was a shock.
Yeah.
Because what happened was the theory, they never released the voting numbers for Oscar, but the theory was, right, that Jack Nicholson and Daniel Day-Lewis split the vote because it was Gangs of New York and About Schmidt. And sometimes this happened, you know, the same with people theorize this about the Marissa Tomei win as well. Like, when you have that competition, it could happen this year, honestly. There's a lot of parity in a lot of the categories. Like sometimes like a dark horse just sneaks through the middle because a lot of people are voting for Jack and Daniel Day, and he won, and still the youngest Best Actor winner, 29 years old. He went up there and he assaulted Halle Berry.
Oh yeah! Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Like he kissed Halle Berry. It was not planned. She's like gone on the record multiple times. She was like not okay with it. She went along with it because she's an absolute fucking pro. And then, like a month later, he did the SNL thing. My dude was just like vibing. He was like, no, he's like, no one can touch me, baby. I'm just going crazy.
There's like his filmography. I mean, there's like, I feel like for like the longest time, like especially like the 2010s, you look at like his filmography, it's like the only movies that seem to get like any respect that he's in are like the Wes Anderson movies, and I guess maybe Midnight in Paris, which he's in for like one scene.
I think he's an incredible actor.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I mean,
like I've loved having him on our little show for 20 minutes at a time, you know, and like he made this movie called Love the Hard Way back in the day that I love. He's in King of the Hill. He's so good in as a young actor.
I rewatched his intro scene in King of the Hill and everything, and the way the camera just like races towards him when he comes on screen, I'm just like, it's like Soderbergh knew he was working with a future movie star. Like it's so good.
Yeah,
like,
and like you know, and you know, the thin red line stuff's getting rehashed, and it's like, look, this is what happens when you know, he's kind of been at a lower register for many years, like you're saying, and now he's probably going to win an Oscar for The Brutalist, right? It seems like, or maybe he won't, but it seems it's looking good right now.
So good.
Yeah. He is,
and so like
fantastic in it.
And it is that funny thing of when that happens, people are like, "Oh, you remember the thing that you remember?" And look, not to like defend the guy, but look, and like Halle Berry even did it when it got brought back up. Like, it's one of those weird moments in your life you never thought it would happen. Like, you know, it's okay, fine. He's relatively young, okay, whatever. Like he seems very like well adjusted now, and like he gives these lovely interviews. God bless him. And like, so, you know, the Thin Red Line thing is crazy too. The guy, a lot of crazy stuff happened to him like within like 3 years. It's like crazy.
It very much reminds me of kind of the same.
Dead Man Down?
No, not at all. Very much reminds me of like Edward Norton, somebody that like
similar,
very like sparked heavy, and then just kind of like everybody was just like,
and got a reputation that was maybe unfair. Like you don't know, it's hard to know.
I don't know.
Like,
it seems like
will
every
Brody
movie.
do a Motherless Brooklyn next?
What was like he did King Kong in 2005, and then I feel like he wasn't in anything big for years after that either.
Yeah, so he won the Oscar, and then he
Right,
did
The Village. Ugh.
He did The Village,
which I love The Village, but his performance is
he's
not
tough,
one of the best elements of that movie.
Yeah. No, agreed. And he did The Village. He did The Jacket, the John Mayberry movie.
Yeah, I need to watch
that.
I've seen that movie, but you could show it to me again, and I would be like watching it for the first time. So
here's the thing about The Jacket. I don't know that it's very good, but it's like an experimental film in the middle of a Hollywood film. It's like weird. Like John Mayberry, I don't know how much you guys know about him. Like he made the Francis Bacon movie. What the hell is it called? It's with Daniel Craig. Love is the Devil. With young Daniel Craig. It's a great movie. And Mayberry was like a weird artistic force, and The Jacket was like his Hollywood movie, and it's weird. It's like a weird movie, and like he made that, didn't do well. And then King Kong, he's the ostensible lead, but it's really like not a great part.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Naomi Watts is, clearly.
She's
another famously great career, right? No, kidding.
But it's funny, all those people.
We love
true,
Naomi
though.
Watts here.
No, I like her too,
true.
but
It's
like her career, it's like a lot of bad movies.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Then she picked up that book of Henry, and what are you gonna do?
She picked that book
We're
up.
not killing the police chief, and that is final.
Now, if you excuse me, I gotta play
the Book
Gears
of
of
Henry.
War. Yeah. Anyways, so what you're saying is the B-side is good right now.
Oh, we're cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, we're cooking, baby.
Yeah.
We're cooking.
And also, you said it reminds you of Dead Man Down. Adrien Brody and lead of Dead Man Down, both Hungarian.
That's true. Both named
Yeah,
Laszlo.
Both named Laszlo. Yeah, that was something that I thought of as well.
You should have brought this up when you talked to him, Dan. That's a missed opportunity.
It's like, Adrian, have you ever seen, this is so crazy, have you ever seen Dead Man Down, Adrian
He's like,
Brody?
I don't want to talk about that.
He'd be like, I've never even heard of it.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
He's like, I auditioned for it actually. What?
Like, what, you never heard of it? It's a movie with Isabelle Huppert. Do you not like French cinema? Like,
Wait, I will say Isabelle Huppert being in it, I totally forgot about. I will
Thank God
say
for Isabelle Huppert.
one Adrien Brody thing. He's in Predators.
terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I saw opening weekend and didn't hate, but can't tell you anything that happens in it other
I'm
than
just
Topher
saying that
Grace.
was like his big action movie.
Okay, yeah, there was
Yeah,
that.
and then oh god, I forgot about Splice. Splice, I remember
Deranged film.
one of the last times I watched Splice, I was like home for the summer during college, and it was
Wait,
just
hang on. We got to stop right there. One of the last times I've
I
watched.
saw Splice a couple times. I mean, that movie is insane, but I do remember like we were flipping through channels when I was home from college, and my
One of
friend
the
was like, "What
last
is this?" And I was like,
times.
"I just was like, you have to watch this movie. It's bug nuts." And like, it was in our basement, and it was at my parents' house, and it's one of those things where the TV is
You
faced
gotta
one
watch
way,
it.
and all of a sudden the sex scene comes on where Adrien Brody's fucking this humanoid thing that sprouts butterfly wings, and all of a sudden we hear giggling, and my dad is just up with his arms up, just going, "What the fuck are you watching?"
Dad, come here. It's Splice. We'll
That
start
was
it from
a-
the beginning.
That
It's fine.
That was a wide. I think that was like
That was a
wide.
That was
release
Warner
summer
Brothers.
movie.
release.
It was Warner Brothers, yeah.
God bless.
Yeah.
I made a deal I went to when I saw it in theaters, a friend of mine, we went to one of those carnivals that just got set up in like a shopping, like a grocery store parking lot, and he convinced me
course.
to go on the Zipper, which is like the worst ride to ever exist in the history of amusement park rides. And I remember being like, fine, but I get to pick the movie. And then I ended up picking Splice. So we went on the Zipper and got our brains knocked around in our skulls a little bit, and then we just
You got your
walked right
payback
there. Yeah.
Ready for this? $30 million budget, grossed 17 domestic, 11 international, 28.5 worldwide. Made $9 million in home like DVD, Blu-ray.
That's just
And
for
it was
sales, because I know those rentals went nuts.
Sure, that's true. And then it was released June 4th,
That's
2010. Released into 2,450 theaters.
In my head, like,
Multiplexes, gentlemen.
in my head, that movie made like 60, 80. Because
The other movies to be released that week were, wow, this is a cursed week, holy mother of God. Get Him to the Greek. Killers, the Ashton Kutcher,
God.
Katherine Heigl
Saw that in
picture.
theaters.
Marmaduke
Saw that in theaters.
and Splice were the four you're going to see if you're going to see something new.
Okay.
Holding over was Shrek Forever After, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, Sex in the City 2,
one of the worst films ever.
and Iron Man 2 holding strong in the 7th spot in its 5th week. Holy mother of God, that's a rough
So
list. That is a rough list.
So I still picked the best movie of the bunch, right?
Yes,
Like,
you did.
Yes. I mean, it would also
right-
be just as fucked if you were like, all right, we're going to watch Marmaduke, and your dad's like, what is this?
that would also be funny if we were like thinking we were walking into Splice and then just accidentally walked into Sex in the City 2 or something. Oh
God.
I will say in the 9 spot in its 4th week, a movie I defend wholeheartedly is Ridley Scott's Robin Hood, which I do.
I love Ridley, but I
do-
can't go that
I love
far,
it.
Dan.
I've learned to love it. I love it a lot. If it's not called Robin Hood, it's a great movie. That's my theory. It's not even about Robin Hood. It's about the Magna Carta. They should have just called it Magna Carta, the movie.
Robin
Nobody
Good.
would have seen it,
Nobody would have watched it, yeah.
but it's a good movie.
I can take some Ridley Scott movies that people hate. I'm on the record for thinking Hannibal is a hoot, but Robin Hood can't go that far.
Sure, I get
Yeah.
it. You're in the majority. Yeah.
I will say, yeah, I always thought Splice made like 60, 80, because it always reminds me that, like, we used to live in a world where Species made like $130 million, and that movie's fucked. Like,
I love that species. I love Species, dude.
Species rips.
That's our boy Roger Donaldson. That's my son. I love that guy.
Hell yeah.
His daughter made a good movie.
Oh,
last year.
that's so weird that that's his kid. Yeah, that's
India Donaldson made that movie. Is a good one. Is that
Oh
what it's
my
called?
God, that was holy
Yeah, I didn't know that until I think Tim Grierson linked to an interview that he did with both of them, and he was like, "Oh yeah, talking about like she grew up on film since with her dad." I was like, "Why? Who's her dad?" And I looked up and I was like, "What?"
That is such a good movie. That narrowly missed my top 10 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Holy
That's
fuck.
that's his daughter. Yeah.
Anyways, Dead Man Down in 2013 is what we're talking about. All of that staying in. Premiered at February 26, 2013 in California, and debuted in wide release March 8th, 2013. Oh, I didn't get how many theaters. I don't know, probably like 1,800. At number 4, budget was $30 million. Opening weekend made $5.3 million. Domestic gross of $10.8 million, and overall gross of $19.5 million. And also, since it's more recent, we finally have home video numbers, and it made about $7.6 million in home video sales.
That is more than I expected it to make.
That is right. Top 5 films that weekend. What's the top 5 that you just listed, Dan? I don't know if that's more cursed or this is more cursed.
I'm looking at.
Can I
it
guess
right
some
now,
of
dude.
them is? I'm gonna guess that there are a couple.
It's
There are a couple
pretty
of movies in there that I think I'm pretty sure I know which one. Are Jack the Giant Slayer and 21 and Over in there?
Oh baby, they're there.
21 and over is number 6.
Oh,
this
sure,
week.
sure,
my
Jack the
mom
Giant
made me-
Slayer is number 2.
Yeah, I saw Jack the Giant Slayer in theaters. I went to see 21
Fake
and Over.
movie.
My mom made me walk out in the first 5 minutes. I
I
eventually
watched that
all
in
my
theaters
laptops, yeah.
also.
I remember I went to an AMC where Monica Castillo had to review Jack the Giant Slayer and went to the press screening, and I lied. She said, "Oh, this is my +1," and then I just went and saw something else. I think I went and saw like Side Effects, the
I will
Soderbergh
say-
movie.
I will say, in this top 5, there is one movie I think is good.
Well, let me list them off here.
List
Oz
them
the
off.
Great and Powerful, Jack the Giant Slayer, Identity Thief, Dead Man Down, and Snitch.
Oh my
Snitch is good?
God, I saw Snitch.
Snitch is good. I like
No,
Snitch.
it's not. Or at least I didn't think it was.
I mean,
Yes, it
and that
is.
director is stuck around because Rick Roman, he's like works with Gerard Butler like
I
regularly.
like that's like a good. That's legit, and this is rare. God bless him. It's a legit good Dwayne Johnson performance. It's like it's an action movie, but it's not. But it's like a drama, right? There's like stakes. Rick Roman Wah is a stuntman who became a director. Like the sequences are good. Yet like you get slimy Barry Pepper in that movie, which is I'm always putting some pepper on my eggs. Love me some Barry Pepper. So I like that movie a lot. But Charlie, similar to Robin Hood, I think you're in the majority. So
Yeah, I mean, I completely forgot that movie existed,
yeah,
but I did.
But I will. I think you get early Johnny Bernthal.
That's
in that
definitely
one
where I
too.
first noticed
Yeah.
him because I wasn't watching
I
Walking
have-
Dead. Yeah,
I have to be honest. That movie feels Men in Blacked out of my memory. Like
Sure, sure.
I can't tell you what happens in that movie.
I think Dwayne Johnson probably would want that to be the case.
Probably.
He moved away from that type of movie.
That movie and the Marky Mark movie, Contraband, same film in my head. Just the same
dude, I
movie.
like Contraband too.
Oh wow.
That's the Icelandic filmmaker Balthazar Kormákur.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a good filmmaker.
Number 1 song in the U.S. this week, Harlem Shake by Bauer. We now enter the era where memes can be number 1 hit songs, so that's great. Number 1 song in Canada this week, Thrift Shop by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis.
Oh my gosh, I was around for all of that.
Yeah, I
we
was
all
too.
were.
Yeah.
We all were. We have the battle scars to prove it. Plot description from Google. Rising gangland player Victor, played by Colin Farrell, infiltrates the criminal empire run by Alphonse, played by Terrence Howard, but his aim is not to get prestige and power. Instead, Victor's mission is to make Alphonse pay for destroying his once happy life. Victor's machinations have not gone unnoticed. Beatrice, played by Nomi Rapace, his neighbor, watches and waits. When she uncovers Victor's secret, she threatens to expose him unless he carries out her own campaign of revenge. That makes it sound a little bit more like Beatrice is in on it kind of thing. When like her exposing him is like in the first 10 minutes, and then written by J.H. Wyman. Prior to this, he wrote The Mexican in 2001.
Oh, which is a
after the-
Gore Verbinski film that I have yet to see.
Yeah, it's
I've
good.
not seen that either. After this, he was a showrunner on the TV show Fringe and directed 2 episodes and wrote 28 episodes. Directed by fuck, Bryden, you do it.
Niels Arden Oplev. I think I'm
That's
pronouncing that right, unless Oplev is pronounced differently. But that's
Oplev.
how I've always heard
Yes.
it.
Prior to this, the OG Girl with the Dragon Tattoo in 2009. The movie won a BAFTA, guys.
Did it really?
After this, yes.
Oh, wow.
I think it was the best international movie or something like that. I don't know. I watched the first one and I was pretty bored. I'm going to tell you that.
That was the first time I saw that story play out in any medium, and I remember really, really liking it when I saw it in theaters back when I was in college. I have revisited the Fincher version more often, and it's definitely a better directed film.
Well, I watched the Fincher one, and then I was like, okay, let me go back with this one. And I think I was probably like, oh yeah, and she's going to be in Prometheus, the greatest film of the decade. I should probably watch the original one. And I was like, this feels like a TV movie. And they released all of them in 2009.
Yeah.
So.
Also, those books are not that good. Like,
I've heard they are like
Not that
awfully
good.
written.
They're worse than not that good.
yeah, the first book, I remember picking it up after I saw the Swedish version before the Fincher film came out. I read the first two before the Fincher film came out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I saw the movie. It was a page turner. I'm interested. And then the first 100 pages of the first book are like Swedish economics about this fucking magazine. And I'm just like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this?
I mean, I read the first two, and I guess you know what?
Did you kick the hornet's nest? Did you kick the hornet's nest?
I didn't
either.
get around
And
to-
it's crazy because the girl who played with fire ends on the huge cliffhanger. And I was just
know,
kind of like,
yeah.
I'm kind of done with this.
I will say this. I will say this. They are like, when you think about Fincher and you think about, airport paperbacks, right? Which is what these are. Stieg Larsson, obviously, he passed away. His wife kind of shepherded these books. There's obviously this running theory that she wrote the books, right? You guys know about that, right? So it's like, they're entertaining books. The first one's pretty compelling as a bit of prose. It's more in the Dan Brown, James Patterson mold than it is like the Lee Child mold, where it's like that difference of like kind of good exciting and bad exciting, if that makes sense.
Right.
And then the second one's like crazy. Like
The second one's
it's so
wild.
bad.
Yeah.
There's like a whole part. She goes to like take a vacation, and a hurricane happens, and they try to assassinate her. So like the hurricane is like the other thing happening. It's like I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Malice, the Harold Becker movie Malice.
No.
That was like an early Aaron Sorkin screenplay.
Nicole Kidman movie?
Nicole Kidman, Alec
Okay.
Baldwin.
Okay.
There's like, without giving too much away, there's like a murder, rape, like C plot. And it's so weird because you're like, you shouldn't do that, because like the nature of a B or a C plot is like, oh, this is also happening. It informs this, but it's not as important. But like when you're watching Malice, you're like, can I hear more about this serial killer that's happening over there? It's so like literally the girl who plays with the fire. It's like that. It's like she's running away from assassins. You're like, okay, but there's a hurricane happening. You should like figure the hurricane out. It's so
And I'm
funny.
pretty sure also, I mean, spoilers for this book series that is like decades old at this point, but also in the second book, the whole first book is about this missing person. And then you find out that she's not really dead at the end of the first one.
Right,
And within
right,
100 pages, the other thing that both movies cut out is like the pseudo feminism of is especially prevalent in the books, because in the books that main character that Daniel Craig, and I'm sorry I'm forgetting the other actor, I know he's passed away, plays
Michael
he fucks-
Nyqvist.
He fucks
Michael
everybody.
Nyqvist.
He fucks more people than James Bond, and every woman is like, "Oh, you're this disgraced economic journalist? Yeah, that's hot to me." Like, and they just get in and then in the second book, within 100 pages, the woman who was missing, it turned out he fucks her too, and you're just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
It's like,
It's a weird series of books.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thankfully Fincher was not able to do the trilogy, and
I know
we got the
everybody-
reboot that everybody wanted.
Everybody-
I was gonna say
Everybody-
it would have been great. Like,
Oh
that's-
yeah,
I would have watched
Girl
that.
with the Dragon Tattoo is like 10 out of 10 for me. It's fucking
But
phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
glad
thing. It's
that-
like bad books can be great movies.
I
mean.
still, yeah, the movie is infinitely better. I'm glad that he went on to do Gone Girl. I think Gone Girl's like top 3 Fincher for me.
Oh,
And Gone Girl's a better book. Gillian Flynn.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know if you've read that book.
I
It's a better
have.
book.
I actually prefer the film too, because I think that the book is
yeah,
like
yeah.
it doesn't get to the main twist until halfway through, so you realize that the first 200 pages are bullshit, and then
No, the movie's better. I mean, Fincher has made a literal career out of making better movies out of books. Yeah,
It would have been weird if his whole entire 2010s was just adapting those books, and like halfway through the 2010s, people were like, "We don't care about this anymore, man." He's like, "Sorry, sign the contract." Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they would have done well. You know, you got to think. It's like
I mean, the first one didn't even do that well, and that's the reason they didn't
it
do it.
It did do well.
It didn't do
just
bad.
cost so much. That's the problem
Yeah.
with his movies. It's they cost so much.
I remember seeing that 2 days before Christmas, and it was one of those, everybody's back for winter break, and I got a bunch of people together, and some people were just like, Jesus Christ.
You
like,
pulled a splice.
Yeah,
you spliced them.
Well, I remember
spliced them.
I remember one person being like, I don't like movies. It was just
I
like,
saw that the first instance I could, and I was just like, anybody else want to go see it? Because I want to go see it again. It's
That
fun.
movie's it's one of the best edited movies I've ever seen.
It's fucking
that
phenomenal.
cover of Is Your Love Strong
Immigrant
Enough?
Song?
And Immigrant Song. Both are just fucking great. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, I should say, to bring it back to Dead Man Down, it does have Life in Mono in it, which I love from the movie Alfonso Cuarón's Great Expectations.
Oh, that's a huge
yeah.
gap I need to fill. I need to see. I know you
Same.
love it, Dan.
Same.
Oh, what, bro?
Same.
You what, dude? The best movie ever made. I love Great Expectations. Love. You guys are going to watch it. Here's what I love about this. You're
Okay.
going to watch it and hate it. And I will come back on this show and you're going to be like, yo, Dan, you're fucking dumb. That movie sucks, but it's great. No, but Life in Mono is like a big part of that movie. So when she's like getting ready for her date night, and I'm like, oh my god, Life in Mono! I should watch Great Expectations instead
This
of
reminds
movie.
me of a good movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, Numira Paz in the first Dragon Tattoo movie, genuinely great, right?
Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
It's just
Incredible.
everything around her. It's just like
she's
this,
incredible.
This feels like it should be on ID channel. Like this is low
Yeah,
budget.
it's a low budget. Yeah, low budget.
It is also like, which one? Some people I think argue about which one is more sadistic and violent, because the first one I feel like is really like grueling in some sequences. Like,
Yeah.
Charlie, I'm sorry. We have to talk about Mr. Oplav. Okay. After this, an episode of Mr. Robot, the remake of Flatliners in 2017, which I'm very sorry I
He
did not get to
pilot
watch.
for Mr. Robot.
Mm-hmm.
That's
wow.
the best thing that's the best thing he's ever
It's a
done.
very good pilot. I never
That
finished that show,
pilot
but
is
yeah.
that is a great pilot.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
didn't either.
Wow.
That's the best thing he's ever done. Yeah,
never seen that show.
that I've seen. Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch the remake of Flatliners as research, but I am legally obligated to because it is a wide release horror movie, so I'll watch it sometime. And an episode of NCIS Origins last year, and an episode of FBI, and I learned via driving to work and seeing a digital billboard that was like, tonight on channel whatever, 7 p.m. FBI, 8 p.m. FBI International, 9 p.m. FBI Most Wanted, just like a whole ass night of
Well,
FBI.
did you see what they just greenlit?
What?
FBI CIA.
Oh, but you can't do that. That goes into my joke I wrote here. I was like,
Who's
broadcast
stopping
show.
them, bro? Who's stopping them? Nobody's stopping them. We live in a world now. Rules don't even matter at all.
We'll
Dude.
get the
You can do whatever
Canadian
you want.
spin-off FBI OPP or whatever. or
That goes into
RCMP.
my-
That's the more like
That's what it
the
is.
federal one. Yeah.
RIPD. Yeah, broadcast shows are just shows with abbreviations as titles. You got NCIS, FBI, SWAT, Chicago PD, 911, and now we're gonna have.
I think
That's all CBS.
I
I'm
think
pretty sure.
FBI is Dick Wolf, right? I think like
Yes.
Law and Order and FBI are all Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
And then 911's Ryan, what's his name?
Ryan Murphy. It's a box show.
Murphy.
Yeah.
And then
Crazy.
there's other 911s also.
Yeah, exactly. There's like
Lone Star.
And now there's
of-
gonna be
half of the broadcast slate is like those two guys. Like
so there's gonna be FBI. What was it? CIA.
bro.
FBI, CIA. So they're just like, we're doubling down on the abbreviations. You watch
They're working
FBI,
together. They're
CIA?
working
No, I
together.
watched NCIS. I watched that right after SWAT. Oh, did you watch 911 last night? Okay. Starring Colin Farrell as Victor. Prior to this, The War Zone in 1999, Tigerland in 2000, American Outlaws in 2001. That is not a film. That exists solely as a TV spot set to Click, Click, Boom by Saliva. That's in my brain for some reason. His 2002 was Heart's War, also with Terrence Howard. Minority Report and Phone Booth. Killer. 2003 was The Recruit, Daredevil, Veronica Guerin, and SWAT, which I've heard you're either SWAT or you're not. Uro.
It's true.
Saw it in theaters.
Love it to this day. Fucking SWAT. You kidding me, dude? It's great.
What is it, Olivia
SWAT.
Martinez going, I will give you $100 million for whoever
Dude.
gets me out of here. And then he just screams, $100 million.
Iconic, dude. It's an iconic movie.
I'm sorry I stepped on your line, Charlie.
No,
did it
please
justice. Yeah.
join me in stereo.
That was the moment. That was the Olivier Martinez moment. Unfaithful. SWAT.
Right. He wasn't. I just watched Unfaithful for the first time, like during the pandemic, so that did sync up.
Movie rules.
Unfaithful, arguably Adrian
100.
Lyne's best movie.
Easily.
Adrian
Wait,
Lyne's
Jacob's
no,
Ladder.
no. Jacob's Ladder. Jacob's Ladder.
For me. Yeah.
Every time I think of it, and I'm just like, oh yeah, Unfaithful. I'm like, oh shit, he did Jacob's Ladder.
Is it not?
Yeah.
It's not Fatal Attraction. You know.
I do
No,
like
Fatal
Fatal
Attraction
Attraction. That is the most Adrian Lyne movie, but
Pretty great.
I like
It
it.
is-
I'm just like, I like it, but
I think Unfaithful is probably, in my opinion, if I were to say what the best was, I mean, that would probably be my vote, but
Which one has Macaulay Culkin getting hit by a car? That's right, Jacob's Ladder. No, but
Forgot
I
about that.
dig Unfaithful.
Yeah.
I-
No, he made
I
a lot
really
of good
dig
ones.
Veronica Guerin. That seems like a B-side ass movie.
I think you.
The only
He's
thing-
in one. So Veronica Guerin is a Joel Schumacher movie starring Kate Blanchett about the journalist Veronica Guerin who was assassinated, the Irish journalist.
The only thing I knew, I remember about the advertisements for that movie is they kept showing that one clip of Kate Blanchett going, I don't want to do it, I have to do it. And that's the only
Yeah,
thing
and
I remember.
Colin Farrell is just in one scene, like because he cameoed because he worked with Schumacher on Phone Booth.
And Tigerland.
Yeah.
And
and
Tigerland.
Tigerland.
My God,
That's right.
of course. Those are two of Schumacher's best movies. Dude.
Oh yeah.
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 He should have worked with fucking Farrell again, dude. Schumacher, R.I.P.
My roommate loves Tigerland and claims that he is the only Joel Schumacher movie he likes, and it's because he had no idea he directed it until Directed by Joel Schumacher came up in the end credits, and he was like, "Oh fuck!"
That's funny.
Yeah.
It is a. I got a lot of respect for Schumacher. He did everything.
yeah,
and
I do too.
That's a really weird one for him to do. Yeah.
The New World in 2005.
Masterpiece,
The best
possibly
movie
the
ever
best
made.
movie he's ever been in.
Miami
no
Vice in
question.
2006.
Or that. Or either of those.
Or yeah, either of those. Minority
Those two.
Report, top three.
Just back-to-back movies where I'm just like, I'm glad people like those movies. In Bruges in 2008, which I still haven't seen. I
You
wanted
haven't
to see
seen
that.
In Bruges?
He's really good.
Pretty
in
good.
that. Yeah.
He's
Pretty good.
terrific. Yeah, he's fantastic.
I was gonna watch it when Banshees of Inisherin came out, but
Which he's also
I did
great
not.
in.
Yes, he is. He's very fucking funny in Horrible Bosses in 2011.
That's true. He is. Yeah.
I fucking love Horrible Bosses. I don't care.
I don't, but
After
even
this-
he makes me laugh in that movie.
Yeah. he's
Everybody's
good.
so funny. That's just a fucking great cast. After this, Winter's Tale in 2014. Who could forget? The Lobster in 2015. 8 episodes of True Detective Season 2.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Easily the best part of True Detective Season 2. I mean, Rachel McAdams is good too. But
Rachel McAdams.
yeah, I love Rachel. I love Rachel McAdams, but Colin Farrell is like, with that material, is the only person who's able to bring anything out of that. Yeah.
Where was I at? Oh yeah, what a 2020 he had with Artemis's Fowl and Ava. That's right.
Artemis Fowl?
Artemis is it was a sequel. Okay, no. Artemis Fowl. Top tier book that everybody claimed to have read in elementary school.
Yeah, my mom read those with me, I think, when I was a kid. Owen Colfer is the author. I read a few of his books when I was a kid. I remember
It was
those being
it was
fun.
the golden shiny book at every Scholastic book fair.
The book
That
was
shit
really
was
cool.
so shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never read it, but I remember it was just like, it was like that book where if the sun glared off of it, it would blind you. You were just like, oh, Jesus, what's that?
Oh, I had it. Never read it, but I had it. The Batman in 2022, and also Banshees of Inisherin in 2022, and last year was in The Penguin and the television show Sugar, which we watched religiously.
I mean, I watched Sugar.
I'm just going to give a shit.
Brighton, did your parents watch it? Did your parents watch Sugar?
Do you guys know? Do you guys know what happens in Sugar?
No, what's it
I
about?
didn't even know it existed.
Do you want me to? You want me
Please
to
go
tell
ahead.
you?
Please go ahead.
It's a huge twist, but I'm not kidding. Do you want me to tell you?
Sure, why not? I'm probably not going to watch
Because
it. I don't watch
it'll
most
ruin the show.
I don't watch
It'll
most
ruin-
Apple
so-
shows, so go ahead.
Okay, so if you're listening, just skip 30 seconds ahead if you want to watch the Apple TV Plus show Sugar. So it's a detective story. He's a detective. His name's John Sugar. That's true. He's looking for a girl. It's in Hollywood, but he seems weird. He can't get drunk, blah, 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 whatever. There's weird things.
Right.
And I believe at the end of episode 5 or the end of episode 4, what is revealed is that John Sugar is an alien from outer space.
You're fucking lying. You're lying.
And the show just keeps going after this? That sounds...
And
sold.
then he's an alien. So then you know he's
What
an alien.
episode does this happen in?
I believe it's the end of episode 5 or the end of episode 4. I think it's maybe it's like the end of one of the episodes. He like that whole episode. You're being prompted that like, okay, he's sick or like there's something he needs to get right, and then he gets like he gets like mortally wounded, and he doesn't die.
T-1000 that
And
ass.
so you're kind of like, oh, okay, he should have died, right? That's weird. And then at the end, he like takes a substance or something, and I think it's like he becomes Margaret Qualley. No, I'm kidding. But
I was about to say that Margaret Qualley just fucking snaps out of his back.
He takes something and he like transforms into a blue alien, and then that's the end. Oh my
gosh, that's
I
beautiful.
feel like that would either make me want to keep watching it, or I'd just be like,
look,
what am I doing here?
I
What
watched
really
all of
am I
it.
doing?
I watched all of it. I'm gonna watch the next season. So
I also
yeah.
just want
I
to
might
give a
watch
shout
this.
out to The Northwater, which is a very underseen miniseries that was on AMC
sure,
by Andrew
yeah.
Haig, who my friend Keith Ulick got me to binge in an entire day, and also friend of both pods, Mitchell Beaupre, also is a huge fan of, and Colin Farrell, who is such a charming man off screen and not, and he's usually known for being so charming. Plays it's the most evil psychopath you will ever come across in any like medium ever, and he is like just blood chillingly effective in this show. Brutal show. Don't want to like undersell how like tough of a sit it is at times. There's like an entire episode where they club seals, just a heads up. So, but it is
For all 52 minutes? Just the whole time?
yeah, just the whole time. Yeah, Keith Ulick was like, "This is my favorite show of the year," and just showed me nothing but seal clubbing.
Is there a plot involved?
yeah, but no, it's an incredible miniseries, and unlike anything you'll see Colin Farrell doing, and also a big stretch, and I think a great one for Andrew Haig, who's kind of known for more, understated British dramas up until that point, and a filmmaker I really love. But yeah, very underappreciated show, very dark, very tough sit at times, but absolutely if worth your time if you like seeking out underseen miniseries that didn't get enough credit. So
yeah,
You know what he
I gotta
rules
finish
in?
that.
A movie that I loved in theaters but have no intention of rewatching. Killing of a Sacred Deer. I just left that movie just being like,
yeah, I kind of
very good at that.
I wanted to love that movie, and I kind of just shrugged it off as I left. I think he's good in it. He has a funny monologue about like a hand job, I think. I don't know.
Right, and he's like saying, "Oh, we just need like the blood of a virgin and a box of pubes. We don't have any of the things that we need." Like he's
Yeah. That movie's fine. I don't know. Whatever. Not my favorite.
I like
Lanthimos.
that movie. I like that movie.
I like
Yeah.
it too. That's kind of the last Lanthimos I think I saw before. I mean, and then like the favorite I like didn't love, and then I just like haven't kept up with Lanthimos.
That's so interesting because I know that's such a basic take to like the favorite more than Killing of Sacred Deer, but I felt like that was the. But I also like Kinds of Kindness more than most people, and more than I expected to, because I heard that was going back to Killing of Sacred Deer. Anyway, we're going off track here, but.
Numero Pass is Beatrice. Prior to this, all 3 OG Dragon Tattoo movies in 2009. Saw it in theaters. Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows in 2011. Never seen the first Sherlock Holmes. Yep. Contender for, like I was saying, best film of the 2010s, Prometheus in 2012, and Passion in 2012.
See, you got that mixed up. You said that before the other movie that begins with the P.
After this, The Drop in 2014. I was told by Brighton that she plays the villain in Bright in 2017.
I only found that out when I was looking through her from because I feel like her run in like being in big American movies was so short, and I was like, when does it end? feel like that's like, if that's not the end, that is like the last gasp.
That is the end.
Yeah.
That's the end.
When did that movie even come out? Because I have
December
a vague
2017.
Okay, because I have a vague memory of when that thing was like, it was hitting the rounds of how like putrid that thing was supposed to be. I just don't remember what year.
Yeah, I think I can't remember.
I think it was like November, December of 2017.
Yeah, December. I remember it's December because I think I was watching it on Netflix, or like, I don't even think I watched it on Netflix. I think I might have watched it on some other website and everything. And then I think I had to pause the movie to go see Shape of Water, and then I might have finished right when I came back home. Like, I think that's what was going on.
I'm surprised you didn't come back home and be like, I'll just go to sleep. I don't need to finish this. Lamb in 2021. And some Apple TV show from last year, and none of you can tell me the name of it.
Oh yeah, I couldn't tell you the name of it, but I know. Yeah.
Did any of you see Lamb?
No.
I kind of had one of those days where I was just kind of like, I'm feeling a little bummed out. And then I was just like, all right, Lamb's in theaters. Maybe, you know what, I'm going to go see that. Maybe that'll make me feel a little better. And then I just walked out of that movie and I was like, now what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And I felt even worse. And she's really good in it, but I just left that movie feeling so sad. And I was just like...
I saw the trailer for that, and I was like, this looks like A24 doing a parody of A24.
I
like,
mean,
this
you're
looks
not
like
wrong.
some...
I mean, she's...
Constellation is the show.
Is he telling the truth? I don't know.
Also, apparently, she
don't
was
know.
on the Jack Ryan show. I'd have to ask my dad about that because he watched it.
Yeah. I
My
watched
father would know.
all of that show, bro. She is in, I think that's the worst season of that show.
Damn. Terrence Howard as Alphonse, prior to this, Dead Presidents in 1995, The Best Man in 1999, Angel Eyes in 2001, if there was ever more of a fucking B-side ass movie, and also
Amen.
Glitter that year.
Yeah, he was in Glitter.
Yeah, he was. Worst film of all time, Crash in 2004. Remember when we didn't do that for our Lionsgate miniseries? That was a great decision. Nominated for Best Actor for Hustle and Flow in 2005. Iron Man in 2008, Next Time Baby. One episode of Law & Order SVU in 2011. Same year, Prisoners. Hell yeah. Which I think he just like cries the entire time.
Yeah, I don't
And
remember.
it's just-
What does he do in that movie?
I mean, he plays the
He's
trumpet
like-
at one point. He really breaks out a trumpet at one point where he like says like he can play the
Plays the
trumpet or something,
trumpet?
and then well,
In
that's like before
Prisoners?
all. That's like for the 5 minutes in the movie where it's like, hey, we're happy, right? And then like the kids go missing, and it's like now we're sad for the rest of the movie.
And then he plays the trumpet very sadly.
Remember when Maria Bello just refuses to get out of bed in that movie?
Just in a bed. Yeah.
I will also say, Kevin, you mentioning Law and Order. I mean, he was on Law and Order LA, which only lasted one season. It's like him as Skeet Ulrich and Corey Stoll and Regina Hall. I'm only reading the cast list now.
That
like,
sounds cursed.
it is only one season. Well, I mean, Regina Hall would have been fun, I'm sure.
Well, Regina Hall's
Hall
great,
is
but
a national treasure, but yeah.
that seems like, how did all these people get in here? This feels like some movie 43 shit
And
where you
the
just
show is
lied to
set in
everybody.
LA. What song do you think they were playing in the promo for the show when it was coming out?
Los Angeles by X.
California
They were
Love
really cool.
by Tupac.
Oh, I was gonna say that. Oh man.
Oh, they went
California
for the
knows how
more
to party,
obscure.
bro.
They went obscure. After this, 102 episodes of Empire, and of course, Cutthroat City in 2020.
Oh yeah, that starts with
Isabel-
RZA. Do you know that? Like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Isabelle Huppert as Valentine Luzon. There's too much to go over for her, but listen to our episode on Sincerely Charlotte to hear more. Charlie, what are you thinking about Isabelle Huppert right at this moment? I just want to get that
I
on the
mean,
record.
thank God she was in this movie because she was one of the only times that I got any laughs out of this, and I think they were intentional.
How did she end up in this movie?
I
Guys,
don't know. Maybe she was just in
don't
New
know.
York and just was like, she just like walked in front of the camera by accident, and they were like, "Hey, you're that is." I mean,
If I may, I mean just to speak to how bad I am. I was, especially like 10 years ago, and still am now. Like, I just keeping up with like international stars. This is definitely the first thing I saw Isabelle Huppert in.
that makes me so
Yep.
sad.
Yep,
Makes
yep,
me
yep,
so
same.
sad.
And I was probably in the theaters like, who's that? So yeah, that was me.
This is a very Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby type of performance from her, where she's in the movie and you kind of are like, oh, thank God she's in this. I mean, she doesn't have to be, but I'm glad she is. Like,
Her being in this movie is just like when you look at her filmography and she's like, apparently she was in a movie called Weed Mommy, and you're just like, what? How did that happen?
I feel like that was the thing that people like on Twitter were like saying like, oh hell yeah, this is gonna be awesome, and then I feel like no one saw the movie, or I can't think of anyone who saw the movie. Maybe
I mean, I don't remember anyone talking about this movie in 2013, but I
It was a similar thing when what was it? Toni Collette was in that like mafia mommy movie, and everybody's like, "Oh man, we're gonna go see." I was like, "No, you're not. No, you're not. If this shit was on Tubi right now, you would not watch it. Shut up."
Mama
Get
Weed
outta here.
streaming on Tubi US, of course.
Of course it is. Also starring Dominic Cooper, F. Murray Abraham, and Frankie G.
one
the
other thing.
man.
Remember when Isabelle Huppert won an Oscar for a Paul Verhoeven film? That happened. That definitely happened, and nobody else won that year. That was great.
It was a delayed reward for this film. Yes.
It absolutely happens by sheer of pure willpower on my end.
I thought it was the
there.
Oscar for the video where she rates table flips that you sent us.
The best. Have you ever seen that, Dan?
No.
Where it was promotional, it was a promotional video for Greta because she flips the table in the Neil Jordan movie Greta,
Oh
where
my
she
God,
stalks
right.
Grace Moretz and says something about Grace Moretz's mother, and she's like, "You leave my mother out of this," and she goes, "She had to die for us to meet," and flips the table over. So it's just Isabelle Huppert watching a bunch of famous table flips in movies, and like I think the first one is, I think it's Nicolas Cage in Moonstruck. And then she just goes, not very convincing.
That's so
Zero.
funny.
And then there's Billy Zane in Titanic, and then I think the third one is Tina Fey in 30 Rock, and then she's like, Meta, she is a woman.
Two out of 5.
Dude, that's so. So Huppert for Elle,
Yep.
Ruth Negga for Loving.
Yep.
That's a good nomination.
Very good nomination. She would have been my number 2.
Portman for Jackie, sure. Mm-hmm. Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins. I mean,
She got that nomination because she spoke out against Trump at the Golden Globes, which I'm glad she did, but she didn't deserve to be there. I love Meryl. I love Meryl. To be fair, I didn't see Florence either, so who am I to say? But
the winner,
nobody did.
The first of two, Emma Stone
in La La Land,
for La La Land,
which we don't want to. We don't have to get into this. I love Emma Stone. I don't love La La Land.
It's not the worst 5. I mean, that's
It's
an
not
okay
the worst
5.
win ever, but like
But I mean, just the 5. That 5
worst.
that's a good 5. I mean, that's a good 5.
That was but that was also a very stacked year. I remember a lot of Twitter gays, and I think these are very valid criticisms. Were like, where the fuck is Amy Adams in Arrival and Annette Bening in 20th Century Women? I very specifically remember that, and I'm
Amy
like,
Adams should have been nominated.
both of them should have been nominated.
Jack Reacher Never Go Back. No,
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, Kobe Smulders got shut out too. God, all right.
My picks that year were because I'm me. I remember on my Bafka ballot, I had Isabelle Huppert for Elle was my number 1, and then Zoe. Oh God, I can never pronounce her name, but she,
It's pronounced Kravitz.
No.
Yes.
Deschanel. Deschanel.
I am pulling up my ballot just
Deutsch.
to make sure that I pronounce it.
for why him?
I had Zhao Tao for Mountains Made Apart, and I had Sandra Hüller for Tony Erdmann. So no
that's a
English
good one.
So no English speakers in my roster. We were only allowed 3 on
You're
our ballot.
so cool, Charlie. You're
Charlie's so cool,
dude.
I only have one trivia fact for Dead Man Down. I'm surprised that it wasn't just packed to the gills. The director has disowned the American advertising campaign, which he felt misrepresented the film. He also spoke of budget problems during production, which forced him to speed up the shoot and of not being able to edit the film the way he had preferred.
Okay, I'm going to just say, him disowning the advertising campaign, that is the number one thing I remember about this movie. The trailer being so good. Or at least I think the trailer sets it the Kendra Morris Shine On You Crazy Diamond cover. That's a great trailer. I think about that more often than the movie itself.
Yes, Bryden, I agree with you. Yeah. And I think it's a great example of, I think two things can be true, where I think he's right and also you're right. I think it's that classic case of it's a mismarketed movie because it's not an action movie.
It isn't.
Right, and the movie markets, or the marketing markets it as such. But the marketing as its own entity is good for a a movie
different
that doesn't
film.
exist, right?
Yeah.
Like a separate thing that is not actually a thing. And I think sometimes that works, and most of the time it doesn't. It's always a gamble, and it's always the sign of like we don't know how to market the movie. Like it's like
Right.
whenever that happens, then when you hear, oh, he had to like cut corners and he lost the edit, it's like that makes sense. It's like Film District probably was like, oh, this is not going to make any money.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like what's weird to me about that is like not to get too far ahead, but like it's a pretty standard crime drama. It's like how it's
Well, I mean, I bet. So here's what I bet happened. Right,
Here we go.
Colin Farrell.
There
right,
he is.
He becomes famous fast. By 2002, he's the new hot thing. By 2005, he's washed. Right. Maybe give him 2006, right? Miami Vice being his last chance, and it's like a predestined failure, and it's an absolute fucking.
It was
shit
number one at the
show.
box office at one
No,
point,
no,
but
no,
it was not wide.
No,
It was
Trouble
not warmly
production.
received.
He's going
It
through
was
troubles during that.
deeply
Yeah.
hated.
Yes, it was.
It would cost $100 million more than it should have. He was blamed for all of it. Jamie Foxx like threw him under a bus, right? It was like, this dude's a mess. Like it was a coffin call for that guy in 2006, right? So then 2 years later, he does that little movie in Bruges that everybody likes, and he is great in it. So he has this like quick resurrection, and people kind of go like, oh, you know what? He kind of had a moment. Do we like him? And so then by 2012, he's in the Total Recall remake, and the movie is fully sold on him. It's
Right.
literally like Colin Farrell, the movie star you know and you love, is in a remake of that other movie you love, Total Recall, Kate Beckinsale, Jessica Biel, all the greats. Come on in, and it fully flops. So I bet you Film District, by the time the dust is settled on Total Recall, they're like, Dead Man Down is like in post, and they're like, we're fucked, dude. No one's seeing Dead Man Down, and they were right, You know,
And
I
they
think
edited
that's
it
what
to
is.
be. They edited the trailer to be a different type of movie, but even that couldn't get people in the theaters to be like, "Hey, this is kind of more of a drama
Except-
than you know."
Right. It got me in the theater. I guess some of that
I
money
went to
is
the
my
I went
parents.
to the theater because of the trailer. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
But
Yeah.
it feels weird when it does have like the slow-mo action sequences because there's only like maybe 3 of them, and it's like this feels like it's kind of mashing uncomfortably like into like or not uncomfortably but like weirdly into the character drama.
What's interesting to me with Noomi Rapace is like this movie and The Drop the next year
Right.
are like, and I think The Drop's actually very good.
It's infinitely better than this movie.
It's better,
Yeah.
better than this movie.
Revenge. I've never thought about it before. But when I saw you, I knew I had my answer. I know why you really came tonight. You want to find out if the girl's been watching you saw what you did. The man who did this to me. I want you to kill him.
I've been getting these letters for messing with me. Pictures and threats. You're the only one I can trust, Victor. Who's doing this to me? What am I supposed to realize? What am I gonna fucking realize?
Always kill the devil quickly when you fight him.
They killed my family!
But I will say, rewatching Dead Man Down today, I did have the thought of like, it is trying to be a 70s crime drama. And there are a few moments where I am kind of like, you could see this being a Frankenheimer, Roy Scheider, 1982 good movie. Like where you're,
That does
it's
sound
like
good.
it's a little bit more grungy. You know, like maybe something like the 7-Ups or something, right? Where you're kind of like, oh, it's like a little nastier. And this is a pretty nasty movie too. Like it's not even like the whole rat torture thing is a fucking, it's like my living nightmare. It's like, I was literally like, when he shot that dude, I was like, thank fucking God. I was like, would be a night to get killed, eaten by rats, alive. Is there a worse way to die? Is there actually a worse way to die?
No, I mean
Speaking of Hannibal, before this, getting eaten by hogs. Yeah,
I was gonna say
No, but that's
There's the scene in the Argento movie Inferno.
That feels equal to me.
In the Argento movie Inferno, there's a scene where a mean old man like throws he's like drowning. He's despicable in the movie. He's like trying to drown like a cat, I think, and then he trips and falls into water, and then like rats like burst out of the sewer, and he yells very helpfully, I think, for the audience, "Help! I'm being eaten by rats!" And then like I think someone like comes in and kills them off screen or whatever. It's such an uncomfortable scene, like watching that. Ugh,
I know we haven't even gotten into like first impressions yet, but I guess my thing is I feel like this movie just has an identity crisis where that scene that with the rats, I'm like, this should either be way pulpier and trashier, or way more like it tonally, it's just sort of there, and I'm just sort of like, this should be far more like, because it took me a second to realize what was happening, and then I was like, oh, that's kind of fucked up, and then I was just kind of, but then it's just sort of like in between genre, like aesthetics and like just sort of being matter of fact, and I'm like, I don't know, like this should be either nastier or more fun or both. Yeah.
Well, look, and J.H. Wyman, right? I don't know his work well. I watched the first season of Fringe. I watched this movie, obviously. I watched The Mexican. I love The Mexican. The Mexican is exactly like this, but it works better, right? And maybe that's just a Gore Verbinski thing, but like The Mexican is like tonally the most crazy movie ever. It's like, it is ostensibly a crime comedy with this unbelievable James Gandolfini performance in the middle of it.
So good at it.
He's so good, and he's like not in the same country as the movie. It's like he's in like another continent doing like an Oscar-winning performance, and there's like this like funny Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts like crime relationship comedy happening over there that's also pretty good. And it's like somehow it works, kind of. And you can kind of tell this is probably a guy whose kind of initial log line is like, mishmatching genres, high concept. And I think it can work, but I just think maybe Niels was just trying to make something grittier, and it got kind of putrefied, or I don't know, but it just doesn't congeal. I totally agree. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, are we getting to initial thoughts now? I mean, like, am I?
Sure.
I mean, this is the other thing with the problem with like this, the movie, I feel like is it's a little too like draggy in the pacing and everything for like, where like, which I think it would be fine if it was like focused on like the character stuff between like Noomi Rapace and Colin Farrell, like bonding. There's like, people who have like, been dealt a bad hand in life and helping each other, but also helping each other with their plans to sort of get back at people, and also helping each other possibly recover from it, sort of two forks in a road. I feel like they have like decent chemistry when like they find little moments and everything, like when they're talking about when they have that first date and everything, and they talk about like, she has to smile a lot in her job, but like, it hurts and everything, and he's just like, I don't get to smile much in my job, maybe we should switch and everything. Like, that's like a fun little like
that's a nice
banter.
Scene. Yeah, that's a nice scene.
But then I feel like so much in the movie at the same time is like having their relationship just be focused on the plot of like, when are you gonna kill this guy for me, and when are you gonna, and like for Abraham
there's
asking like,
way too much plot in this
and
movie.
the movie just does not seem to care about it. And Oprah,
and it's like, you're like when she brings when he's like in the third act, when he's like, he like redirects to killing that guy that hurt her, that fucked up her face, and also
Let's get into it.
It's the classic. Look,
it's the Ready Player One.
It's the Ready Player One problem, and it's a movie thing. It's the Gerard Butler and Phantom problem, where it's like, I'm hideous, and it's like, you are not. You
are gorgeous, and you have a little red line on your face.
Especially after Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Are you fucking kidding? Your character that you just played in the previous movie would be like, you.
Like, so Noomi Rapace is like living in, they're living in the projects of, I don't know where in New York it's meant to be. It feels like it might be like lower Manhattan.
In the Big Apple.
In the Apple. It's in the Apple. No, but so like, that's a problem where she's like hideously scarred, but really it's like she looks amazing. I don't know. It's tough.
And all the kids who are throwing rocks at her, where I was just like, look, kids are mean, but they're not that fucking mean. Jesus Christ.
Look,
they're like, oh, Sloth just came outside. Oh, God.
Kids are mean, but kids are also dumb. Like, they wouldn't even notice it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't even notice it. But so anyway, so in the third act, she's like, or Farrell's like, hey, so that guy, like, you know what I mean? He literally, like, he gets in the car, he's like, all right, let me try to kill that guy. And it's as a means to, like, she's basically like, I haven't been pushing you to do it because I like spending time with you, which is nice in itself. But then he's like, as a means to, like, get her away from him to finish the job, as it were, he ostensibly does it. And, like, when that's happening, I am watching it and I'm literally like, what for what? Yeah. I'm like, oh, right. The inciting incident of the film. But, like, I have fully forgot about it because he's like a Hungarian guy whose family got killed and he pretended to be a New York guy, which is like, it's its own problem because it's like he's just slipping the accent all the time. You're like, okay. Yeah. And like Dominic Cooper became his best friend in like 16 months.
I was trying to figure out the timeline.
And he's
it's
the
like
godfather to his kid, but they've been friends for like shorter than
the
last COVID outbreak. I'm like, what are we talking about?
Anybody
like,
else also just baffled by the opening scene? Because I thought a completely different movie was playing out. I mean, maybe this is just me admitting that I was dumb, but first of all, I will just say when he starts it, when he opens with the line, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I was like, ugh.
I'll say this. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, well, I kind of interrupted you, so like, please go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I do, and this is the thing with this movie. I do like movies that start like they're in the middle of a movie. I think that's a very provocative way to start a movie. I'm not talking about in media res. That's kind of frustrating, but I mean, like, I do like a plot that starts like basically this movie's basically like, what if it was the end of Enemy of the State, and then also the end of Rear Window, and then it kept going, right? So like as a pitch, that's really cool. Like I'm like, yeah, oh, okay. Like tell me more. Like because you get a shootout standoff to start the movie, and then like 5 minutes later, it's like, hey, we are kind of friends via our windows apartments, Numi and Colin Ferrell, and like, oh, maybe we'll get together. Oh, and also I saw you kill someone. Oh, and all of a sudden you're so like 15 minutes in, I'm kind of like, maybe this movie's kind of good. And then like 30 minutes in, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I forgot about all this.
It's like, remember 30 minutes ago? That was fun.
Like
remember the beginning? That was cool.
And like, I like a lot of like crime movies about like, you know, sort of like gangs like with like warring over their turf, but the movie just is like so fucking by the numbers, where it's just like, oh, like they're arguing about percentages, and I'm like, I don't even know like what the fuck they're talking about. Like it feels so vague, and like none of the cast like of characters, because I feel like in a lot of crime movies, like they do well when they have like, you know, memorable supporting actors and like the roles of like, you know, sort of the goons and everything here. But like here in this movie, it's like, oh man, they shot Tuco, or they shot, and then like I'm like, who is that we're talking about? Like,
well,
I don't.
The whole
like,
thing
no
hinges on Paul. Yeah. Paul is killed.
Right. Yeah. But like in the end of the
killed.
movie, like when there's like the big shootout, there's like a guy.
Who the fuck is he?
How could they?
I'm talking about at the end of the movie during like the big shootout, which is maybe like the one okay action scene and everything. Like a guy like falls to his death like in the foreground, and they're like, oh shit, they killed this guy, and I'm like, I don't even know who this is. It could have been just anonymous goon. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I took me until the Colin Ferrell setting up the fake sniper scene where like, because the beginning it starts off with like people want to kill Terrence Howard. I'm like, okay, Terrence Howard is a good guy. Oh no, wait, what? Like, because he's getting like this Dark Knight like you know, Heath Ledger's Joker type of like messages where his eyes are crossed out and stuff, and I'm just like, wait, what? Like, and I had no idea what the fuck was happening at first, and then I felt really dumb like 25 minutes in when I realized what was happening. I'm like, oh, this is way more conventional and just sort of limp than I even thought that was also going on.
And to the point of, you know, we're referencing these other like, even that, right? Like two gangs.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's Red Harvest. That's Yojimbo. That's Last Man Standing. That's
Dead Man Down. Yeah.
Dead Man Down. That's Fistful of Dollars. Like it's literally like, it's so funny because it's like all of these inspirations, and this movie is just like this like gumbo where you're like, yeah, but none of it really works together. It's so weird.
And-
It's a weird movie.
And and if I may, like the other thing is like Oplev just does not direct the movie in an interesting way. Like just like there's scenes that play that are supposed to be dramatic, and it's just like he chooses the least interesting way to cut it and like shoot it. Like the scene where like Ferrell is like lured to that meeting with Terrence Howard and everything, and he like walks into the empty place, and there's just like a shot of like Colin Farrell like looking like to his left and everything. And, like there's a big pause, and then it just cuts to like a medium close up of Terrence Howard just sitting in the dark. I'm like, what? I feel like you could have cut to a more interesting shot to like make this look like menacing, and instead it's just Terrence Howard just sort of like smirking in the dark. I'm like, no, this is so boring. The scene just like fizzles out. It has no tension.
It has no sense of setting or place either. It takes place in New York, and it's just all this like
anonymous.
Yeah,
It's anonymous.
yeah.
I don't have much to say other than let's see. The first shootout was set to dubstep, so that just brought me back.
That was the other thing where at first I was like, that's also jarring in retrospect too, because I remember when the dubstep happened, I was like, oh Jesus, it's gonna be one of these things. But even that,
and then it's not.
It's just a one-off. Where I was just like, yeah, I remember when dubstep was big back in the 2010s, but then it's not that type of movie either.
Well, I mean, you brought up the Spring Breakers. I remember that trailer set to this Skrillex song. It feels very much like we couldn't get that, so we got this.
Well, that needle drop fucking kicks ass in Spring Breakers.
And it's also satirical in critiquing that whole movement back in that time period, where this is just it's just there.
Yeah. But yeah, some of the music at one point, when they go into the lair, they're playing like some rock song, and like I don't think it's Black Keys, but like they were on my mind because I watched Homefront recently, and like I rewatched that, and like there's a Black Keys note up, and I was like, it has that vibe of like sort of like.
What was I saying about playing for keeps? At the start of it, it has like fake Black Keys. It was in the ether at the time. Yeah. I saw this in theaters. Don't remember really anything about it other than halfway through, me and my friends were just like, let's just make jokes. Who cares? Like, it's Dead Man Down. But I do like how the start of it, how their little meet cute is basically the recreation of Michelle Brance's music video Everywhere. So that was cool. But yeah, I really don't have anything. Yeah. Noomi Rapace, like, her character is interesting, but it's the fact that she has to work against Colin Farrell, who is so fucking boring in this movie. But like, she has
it's not his
like
fault,
so much
though.
to.
It's not his fault.
No.
Yeah.
No. But like, she has so much to dig into and all of that, and then Colin Farrell is just like, well, my family died, and she's like, what else? And he's like, that's basically
I'm
it.
handsome. I'm the most handsome man to ever exist.
I was gonna say, is this the most? I was thinking about this. Is it the most handsome Colin Farrell's ever looked?
Daredevil.
Conventionally, he's very handsome, but
he had a bullseye on his head.
I mean,
what
would you? So, Charlie, what would be for you then? What is?
Tigerland. He's so handsome in that. I mean, he's
who? What?
Tigerland is my answer, actually. Of like,
I haven't seen
yeah, that's
Tigerland.
a good one.
I mean,
Tigerland.
like, I find him way hotter in something like Miami Vice or The New World, where even Miami Vice, where it looks like he hasn't showered in a week, I'm just like, it's like a distinctive.
The New World is good.
Yeah,
he's pretty hot in the pink one. He's pretty hot. I mean hot like physically.
It's funny how like.
What are you showing me? Come on,
come on. It's funny too. I like him a lot in Phone Booth. I do not think he's handsome in Phone Booth because he's got that.
Have all
fucking...
you motherfuckers watched The Penguin?
No, I don't watch
like
television.
No.
Oh.
I've heard it's fucking pretty great. And I'm like, that's great for
this
everybody.
Shit anymore, dude. I can't. I'm gonna die one day. Someone's gonna be like, "You watched
me?
You watched The Penguin?" I'll be like, "Yeah."
Okay, you watched Sugar, sir. Let's step down off this.
That is a great rebuttal. That's a great rebuttal.
I also think
it's a great point.
I mean, I think he's great looking in Bruges. I think he's very handsome in Bruges. And
I guess,
Psychopaths. Yeah.
He either looks like hot or he's like, get away from this man.
The New World. The New World.
The Beguiled.
The Beguiled, yeah.
I mean,
I think
the Beguiled, I get
World,
why those ladies would be fucking drooling over him. Yeah,
that's a good one. The New World is probably my answer, actually. Yeah, he's incredible looking in that. Yeah.
His mustache in The Lobster, not him, just his mustache. Give me that.
His paunch, his little belly, his cute little belly.
Has anyone said horrible bosses? Genuinely.
Oh yeah, that receding hairline. Oh yeah,
receding. It's just gone, dude. It's just like
He's not bald. He's balding, so he will be bald. But yeah, this like, it's very interesting about Noomi Rapace because it's just like big thing with Girl with Dragon Tattoo. Try to bring her over to the States.
Yeah.
I've been going through a lot of Japanese and Hong Kong movies, so it's very interesting I haven't watched most of their when they come to America and just like see what people try to do with them or like anything like that. Like Chow Yun-fat basically had like 3 movies and they're just like, we don't know what to do. So I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
I mean, yeah,
but
like the Corruptor, where he's like, I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty charming, and then you watch something like Hard Boiled, and you're like, oh, he was like operating like 10% of his power. Like it's like,
yeah, it's like this is the greatest screen presence ever, and then this one he has to share screen with. I'm seeing this Marky Mark.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm seeing Mark Wahlberg. And
he's like,
I will watch The Replacement Killers for what's his name research for Olympus Has Fallen. But yeah, I will watch that.
I gotta say, I really like both of those movies. I mean, like that was like the perfect age. I was like, that was the perfect age. Like I was like, The Replacement Killers, The Corruptor, The Big Hit, starring Mark Wahlberg.
I've heard that's actually good.
The Big Hit's dope.
Because that's directed by somebody that like...
Is it not Corey Yun? It's like somebody like him.
It's Kurt
like
Wong, I think is his name.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. It's a fun movie. That's a fun movie. Yeah.
What about what's your take on Bulletproof Monk, sir? How about that?
Oh, I've seen it. I mean, what's my take? It's not strong. Not a strong film.
Your
not a
take is
bulletproof
I
movie.
have seen it. I have seen it.
Certainly not a bulletproof film. It's Sean William Scott. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And Chow
Yes, it is.
Yun-fat?
I
Yeah.
never saw it, but I definitely remember it coming out when I was like 12.
Right, but it's just been interesting. I haven't seen those, but like getting big into trying to go through Jet Li's movies, and it's like that's somebody who did legitimately have like a good like 5 or 6 years.
Oh,
where,
Jet Li? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or sometimes like it was very much like Americanized, like a Romeo Must Die, but then he'd still do stuff with like Ronnie Yu doing Fearless and shit like that. But like very, very good way to, you know, Americanize somebody like that.
He other than obviously Jackie Chan, right, who's like
Well,
the,
yeah.
the benchmark, but like Jet Li, you know, Danny the Dog Unleashed is what they called it here. Like it was, I think, a very solid Louis Leterrier movie. Kiss of the Dragon, I think, rules.
I need
don't
to
know
watch
if you guys
that.
saw Kiss of the Dragon.
Isn't that Bridget Fonda's last movie?
Yeah, it's her last movie.
wow.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
and he did, you know, the Forbidden Kingdom. The scene between him and Chan is incredible, where they fight.
And Michael Angarano's there too for some reason.
Michael Angarano's there too, and you know, but to your point though, and you're right, Kevin, is like none of it's like Once Upon a Time in China, right? So it is
Right.
that thing of like if you go back and you watch what sparked for people abroad and then brought him here, or even like Black Mask is so insane.
Fuck
It's
yes.
like, you know, it's like those are incredible
Fucking
films, and he's so
awesome.
good. It's like, and there is this weird like tax you pay by like coming over here. It's like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the industry, but like you'll always eventually make the Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. You know?
Oh
It's like-
dear.
Happens to all of us, yeah. But what I was saying is just like Numerous Paws has this huge role, 3 movies in 2009. They're not like viewed as like incredible movies, but it's just like, oh, we need her, because before those she did like 5 or 6 years of other movies. I've not heard of any of them, but like the best we could give her was Sherlock Holmes. She is
Game of
great in
Shadows.
Prometheus. She is fucking great in Prometheus. The
she
abortion
is, she
scene
is.
is fucking unbelievable.
yeah, it is.
And as whatever his passion is, at least she's doing something, okay?
I love
But
Passion.
then it's just like,
Dan, I have to ask what your take on Passion is.
I like Passion, the De Palma movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah, I like
Rachel
Passion.
McAdams is a standout of the two, but I think she's doing exactly what Numi Rapace is doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's really good. I think she's really good in the drop we talked about. I think, yeah. Unfortunately, like you're saying, she's like so many people, international stars. I think you run into this thing of identity crisis of like your representation doesn't know where to put you. You come in with this preconception of, oh, this is Lisbeth Salander, so okay, and then you're immediately fighting that. Like she was put into that role like a million times. Like that Netflix movie, What Happened to Monday? Like,
oh yeah,
like it just became a thing she defaulted to. And it's hard. It's like, and then like Elizabeth Shaw, Prometheus unfortunately just was a big hit, but wasn't ultimately well liked, I think, by most people.
Wrong
and
people.
like the fate of Elizabeth Shaw is one of my favorite
just
things.
just
about-
cut out
Well,
a covenant.
it is kind
Just
of like
cut
Oh,
out.
no, dude, not just cut out, dude.
Well,
Dude,
killed, but cut out.
not just like tortured and experimented
Yeah.
on for presumably decades by David in that spaceship. Like her fate
It's wild.
is I mean, I'm a huge. I mean, look,
I fucking hate Covenant so bad.
I like Covenant.
So
It's
I
mean.
love.
Yeah.
I love Covenant, and my dark Ridley thing is like Covenant to me. I'm like I remember being in the theater, seeing Alien Covenant, and it was like the whole theater was like, "This is the worst fucking movie I've ever like." 2 Ridley movies that's happened, 2 full Ridley theaters that's happened. I think like 1 year after the other.
A good year.
Counselor,
Oh, but the counselor's so good.
The Counselor I love, and Alien Covenant. He was like, that was like, fuck you, Ridley. God bless him. And the audience, it curdled with every minute. By the time people were walking out of the theater, they were like, well, that was the worst movie I've ever seen. It's like so funny.
It is wild to think about how both Prometheus and Covenant are directed by Ridley, and they are very evidently directed by Ridley, but that's the type of character decision you'd expect someone to make who like is taking on, oh, you're going to direct the sequel to Prometheus, and then, oh yeah, Noomi Rapace's character, don't want to deal with her anymore, so let's just like
Well,
right
he Alien 3's his own movie.
it's new, but it's, as you said, even worse. It's just so cruel. Yeah.
Like there is literally no hope. It's like like Alien Covenant's like, don't even like think about hoping. And like I almost want to watch it now because that's how I feel every day, baby.
I feel like if she would have gotten her start like in 2014 in the Dragon Tattoo movies and then came to the US and then like, you know, A24 is big enough that she can be in like weird movies instead of being in like who watches Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and is like, let's get her in Dead Man Down? Like, it doesn't, like, she's too good for the movie.
Well, that's the same guy who made the director. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's just like, I haven't seen The Drop, but it's just like, you need to put her in weird shit. Like, weird, violent, but not action films. Like, that's what she's good for.
Can we also talk about how, on top of, like, it just being tonally off, she plucks half of a lady's eyebrow out?
I know.
I'm so sorry.
And it's like, that type of scene should be so funny or wild or something, and it's just sort of there. And it's just, like...
Well, she like runs out. It's like very like, oh my God, that poor woman. I was like, oh, I feel so bad for that. Like, that Karen sitting in the fucking chair.
Yeah, but like, it just like tonally that should be darkly funny or it should be horrifying or something. And instead it's just sort of transitional. And you're just like, well, why even put that in there? Like, that's,
I mean, the movie is like pretty, I mean, I feel like the 2 sources of humor that the movie like relies on for like, you know, to varying degrees of success, are Dominic Cooper, like being the guy who's like saying, like,
hilarious,
where he's just like, he's like saying like, oh, I think I'm gonna like do some digging on this day. It's like, let's go investigate it, you know, who like brutally died. I mean, I must be like following the same steps that he did. Anyways, la la la, like just.
Well, can
like,
I ask it? Here's another question, and this I guess doesn't matter, but it is the type of thing where I am like, wait a minute. So just to say this, okay, so what we find out is Laszlo Varric, right?
Man.
Laszlo Carrick, who is Colin Ferrell. And he's going by Victor. He's pretending to be a New Yorker, part of this gang, Alphonse, blah, blah, blah. Terrence Howard, deeply bad in this film. Let's just move on from that.
He looks annoyed to be there.
He is horrible. He's a good actor.
He's
not
like
good here.
barely in it, also.
Not in a lot of it. So, okay. Fine. So it's a vengeance plot. Okay, fine. He says
Killed
his
off
name's
screen,
Victor. He's actually Hungarian. His name's Laszlo Toth. He was an architect before World War II. He emigrated. No, he's Laszlo Carrick. And so he
this movie's actually 3.5 hours long.
Yes, it's
kills
an epic.
Terrence Howard, and then he starts working
Brady
for Guy
Corbet's
Pearce.
and the Thunderbirds. No, but so what you find out is Alphonse hired out a hit to the Albanians, and they killed his wife, his kid, and presumably him. Okay.
Well, it's Alphonse's crew wants to take over the building that Farrell's living in. Everyone leaves except Farrell.
Kid dies.
And they're just going to scare him. And then the kid dies. And then Farrell and his wife are going to testify. And then the Albanians were sent to kill them.
Yeah, and so this is my point. Okay. Thank you for correcting me, because this is my point. They are going to testify.
Uh-huh.
We are in the world of the movie. It's the year 2012. Okay, so presumably that was 2010. If you are going to testify against a gang leader, would the gang leader not? I don't know. Get a photo of the people.
I mean, the Albanian guy, like, who he kidnapped, recognized him. I didn't even think about this. Man. There's like other things I thought about.
Testify.
They are getting a photo bit by bit, but they're getting a photo.
Exactly. So it's not even like it's not 1965. It's 2010. 09.
Somebody got a
maybe?
caricature sketch of.
So you're literally. I'm watching the film and I'm reminded. I'm like, wait.
Like
nobody-
iPhones were a thing back then.
and like nobody was like, you know what's funny, boss? I'm looking at this guy Victor who just joined our gang.
You know.
and look, I'm not a big stickler for like cinema sins, nitpicking. I
But
don't
if
like
it's
doing
already
it.
bad, it's fun.
But if it's already bad,
Yeah,
then
you
you're opening up the vein of this type of thing. So
you just
that's
pull
what's
the
happening.
yarn and the sweater comes undone.
Numa
yeah.
Rapace also has an iPhone that she films the. What is she up doing? You know, just
Exactly.
I mean,
It's
but
just-
she be
it's just-
peeping. She be peeping. She
I
knows.
just am like, nobody in the gang, Frankie G, nobody was like, boss, I got it. Can I get a minute? I'm looking at this guy. I have to say this. He looks like that handsome guy we killed. Am I wrong? Boss, Alphonse, come over here.
And Ferrell, by the way, also Frankie G, I incorrectly called him Tuco. He plays Luco in the movie. How can I forget?
How dare you?
Seriously,
but also-
Brian, log off, dude.
Also, Frankie G in every movie is playing a character named Frankie G. Actually,
But also, why is Ferrell also making, like, I mean, I guess it's maybe he has a bit of a death wish in the movie and everything, but like, it's like things where it's like, initially they think it's like, I mean, it seems like Ferrell's like playing like the various like gangs against each other. That's how, I mean, Rapace sort of like, that's how she gets away at the end by like having it be like, and also that's how Ferrell's doing it and everything, but like, because they think it's like initially this British guy, Harry, who is sending these threatening letters and photos and everything. But then like they keep getting, like Ferrell keeps sending this stuff and there's some like, so this narrows it down. It can't be Harry who's dead and everything. I'm thinking, why would Ferrell tempt fate like that, like to just like keep like, you know, sending the puzzle pieces of the photo and also like doing that, and also like you said when he was like testifying, it's like there's like so many things where he could have been caught so early into this and like been killed. It's like it's
I
weird.
also just kept thinking about how, I mean, 10 years ago he was in Minority Report, and there's so many scenes in this movie that are just like Tom Cruise watching the projection of his son on the wall, and I nearly expected Colin Farrell's character from Minority Report to come into his apartment when he was and just be like, "Daddy's in a lot of trouble, Sean." Like, that's all I could think of.
It was really subtle. Did you get it when the image of his dead family was projected over the collage of bulletin board photos, and you hear him say that he protects the monsters, protects her from the monsters? That was really subtle. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Hang on a second.
you're on to something. You know
Hang on
what?
a second.
Let me switch up my rating.
A little
real
light
quick.
bulb just appeared above. Yeah.
Kevin's like 2 stars to 4 stars.
Is there any movie where like, well, yeah, just quadruple it. Fuck it. Calling up Mitchell and be like, can we put like 9 stars on just one
Mitchell,
movie?
Kevin here. Yeah. Can I talk to
You ever seen
Letterboxd
Dead Man
HQ?
Down? Yeah, the Colin Ferrell movie. Anyways, yeah, but yeah, is there any movie where there's somebody talking about like that where it's just like, oh, he keeps the monsters away? It's like he's actually talking about like true like any movie that is set in that has a scene in a classroom that's talking about what's happening in the movie, but.
I will say, just because you brought up Minority Report, Charlie, it's funny how Tom Cruise, I always think about this, for those 3 years in a row, he had that interesting, he made Minority Report and then Last Samurai and then Collateral in 02, 03, 04. And it's interesting because he like spark plugged the career of all 3 of those guys that he played against. Because it was like Farrell became a star, Watanabe became a star, got an Oscar nomination. Jamie Foxx became a star, like a full-blown star, and got an Oscar nomination.
Not for oh wait, no, he did get one for Collateral, and
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
Should have won.
He won for Ray.
Yeah,
But he was a double nominee.
Wild.
Even though he was a co-lead in Collateral, but you know what? We'll let him have it. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, Ariana Grande, Zoe Saldana.
Kieran
that
Culkin.
Oh, I
in,
just
Real
watched
Pain.
Amelia
Yeah.
Perez over the weekend, by the way.
Kieran
That movie could
Culkin.
suck my That movie's terrible.
Kieran Culkin. Yeah, that's right.
Kieran
He's
Culkin is such a co-lead. What are we
he's
doing?
gonna win. He's
Opens
gonna
and closes
he's,
on him as
I
like,
know.
I'm thinking
And he's
support.
so good, but like
he's gonna win. He's gonna win. Yeah.
both supporting performances are co-leads this year. I mean, whatever category.
Saldana's gonna probably win. Which look, you guys know I love my avatars. So for me, Saldana's winning.
You're
is
a
just,
huge Columbiana fan.
She is
Yeah.
not the
That's
problem with that movie.
Tuning in
That's
for all
an
that
Avatar
Spec
win,
Ops
yeah.
Lioness. Like my parents.
That's a special ops lioness win for me. That's what that is.
I'm watching the bullshit Oscars just for Substance and Conan. Everything else can fuck off.
That's a center stage win for me. For Zoe Saldana.
I feel like I derailed your point, though, Dan. I'm sorry.
I don't even know. It doesn't matter. I don't even know what point
He
I
was,
was
he
making.
was
glad
just
you
talking
brought-
about Minority Report, and he was just
That's
like,
right.
remember
No,
watching
yeah, just
Minority
remember
Report? That
Five-star
kicks
movie.
ass.
Yeah.
Minority Report's dope.
Dude, Collateral. This movie is shot.
Also a
Dead Man Down
5-star
shot-
movie.
Well, you shot by both Dead Man Down and Collateral are shot by Paul Cameron. Same DP.
I didn't know
Wow.
What
One of these is
happened?
not like the other.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah.
that. Well, I
mean-
will say.
It's two DPs on Collateral though, Dion Beebe and Paul Cameron, just to be clear. So yeah.
I will say the dark photography in Dead Man Down, I do think is interesting. Like I like the idea of we've been so as we're recording, we are prepping Mike Ryan is coming on the B-side to talk about Peter Hyams.
Oh, yeah.
Who's a great underrated director, and so I've watched and rewatched. I think every Peter. You've made 20 films. I think I've watched every or rewatched every single one of them for this fucking.
How many
podcast.
times have you seen End of Days?
Well, I really like End of Days, and I
Daniel.
I do. Did you talk about that on this podcast?
No, Christ,
we probably
no.
mentioned it at some point. I feel like Kevin,
No,
with all the new metal.
so Hyams he shoots his own movies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not many directors do that. Obviously, Soderbergh does that, right?
Real quick,
And
doesn't his son also shoot his own movies?
John
His son's a good
Hyams
director, too.
Is a director now, yeah.
Well, I know that, but doesn't he shoot his own movies also? Right?
Peter shot one of John's movies.
Oh, okay. I thought John was
one of
also
the Universal Soldier movies he shot.
Okay.
And I think John might have shot the other one, where it's like what's the one that's like Apocalypse Now, but a Universal Soldier movie?
Age of Reckoning?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think that John shot, and then the other one I think Peter shot. But anyway.
Yeah.
Peter Hyams, I've been reading interviews and whatnot, watching the movies. He's like always obsessed with like darkness and trying to like sculpt frames out of like nighttime. And if you watch a movie like Outland with Sean Connery, there's a lot of that in that movie. And like End of Days is like cloaked in darkness, obviously. And I will say it's got me watching it more closely. And it's, there's the Gordon Willis of it all, but then you like, it is so hard to do. It's so hard to do. To even try to do it is kind of admirable in a way. And I was thinking with Dead Man Down, I was like, yeah, I don't like this, but you can see them trying to like add this tone of foreboding to the film that would be very much like a Prince of Darkness, Gordon Willis cinematography type of a thing. And it just doesn't really pervade enough. It's like doesn't work enough, but I can respect it. And I would like wonder if you talk to Niels Arden Orploff at like a party, would he be like, yeah, we couldn't do it, like they wouldn't let us do it, like I really was thinking like I wonder if they just prevented it from going all the way, like to make it look like Clute, right, or something where it's like you're just like in hell, right, or like in purgatory, and it just doesn't quite get there.
I think he's everybody is backing up against the 2013 of it all, so it has to look kind of like garbage.
I guess, yeah. And like Film District was young. I mean, they were in the middle of. Had Olympus Has Fallen come out?
It's the same month. Same month. Both of
Same
them are
month.
Really?
Wow.
That was their biggest hit, right? Olympus Has Fallen.
Has to be.
Well, either that
Yeah.
or Insidious. One of those two. Yeah.
I think those were like the only two, right?
Yeah. I mean, play it for keeps. I mean,
God,
come on.
when you get to the Rum Diary, they spent so much money on the Rum Diary. What a fucking
Yeah,
disaster.
I assume because they were just like, it's Fear and Loathing Part 2, right? And everybody's just like,
It's
no.
just crazy. Like, they just gave Bruce Robinson. Now, look, With Nail and I, obviously, is a masterpiece, but, like, they just gave Bruce Robinson, like, $40 million. Like, it's so crazy they did that. Like, I just can't get over it. That was, like, 2010. That was, like, way before this movie. It was, like, so crazy.
On the Peter Hyams tip, how long do you suspect to go on about Sound of Thunder?
Oh, I watched it. I rewatched it.
Yeah, how's your boy in that?
Do you know the thing about? Do you know what happened with Sound of Thunder?
I literally just was listening to a book that just came out called Box Office Poison.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I know because I just listened to it. Yeah. So the company that produced it went bankrupt and basically like took away $45 million of an $80 million budget. And
That's
so,
not
like,
that bad.
Yeah, right. And so Hyams basically like went around town like farming out the effect shops to whoever he could afford to pay. And so it looks hard. I mean, it's like a sci-fi movie, you know, and it's Ed Burns, who I love, that's my guy, Eddie Burns. He's miscast. No. Oh, I love Ed Burns. Yeah, he's miscast, and it's it's a shame because it's an incredible Ray Bradbury short story, but it just it's a bad movie. Yeah, Peter Hyams, and then he didn't really he made like 2 movies after that. Yeah,
The only shot that like actually, and of course this is the gay man in me, just being, attracted to Isabella Huppert, however I can get her. But the one thing that really got me in this movie was when it's that scene of Colin Farrell and Noomi Rapace, like, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes in, where they're just having reverse shot conversation about why he's there visiting her. And he just says, I'm not here by choice. And it's just close up of face. And then it just cuts to, it's just like, there's a little bit of the couch room. And then, you see this blanket on the couch bleeding up and Isabella Huppert just goes, we have company. And I'm just like,
well,
like you said, what? That has to be on purpose. That has to be on purpose.
I think she's having fun. She's
right, but then you could compare that with another moment in the movie where Noomi Rapace goes to Colin Farrell's place and everything, and he's like, ushering her in and everything, and he just like surreptitiously hides his photo of this blindfolded, tortured Albanian guy, just puts it in a envelope. He's like, you want some water?
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned that he has like a giant hamster like water feeder for him. It's like for
pretty
a
cool.
rodent.
I want that for my bed. Wake up in the middle of the night, you got a little hamster. That would kick ass.
You have your little eye mask, and then you just, no matter where, even if you keep that on, you'll know where that is.
Yeah. Then you go back to sleep. Oh, I do declare I will be shut eye for a little more longer.
Just a nice cold compress,
Yeah. Just put on 5 weighted blankets. I'm not trying to get up for shit.
Nobody knows where that guy, where was that?
Yes. He was
in a ship.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. That's right.
He was in a ship.
Ship.
I was, for some reason, reading the Wikipedia, and it was just like, it even had like editorial notes. It was like, this movie takes place in New York City, but actually the ship takes place in Philadelphia. I was like, who cares?
I read that too.
I was like, who cares? It's Dead Man Down. What do we care? I don't care.
Who went through that much research?
Another Hungary and another connection with the Brutalist being about Hungarians in Philadelphia.
Somewhere Alessandro Nivola is just making furniture, looking at that ship, being like, where's my cousin Laszlo?
Someday he will link up with Dragon Tattoo Woman.
Someday.
Do we have anything else to say about Dead Man Down? Nah. Bryden, you're chomping at the bits.
No, I was just thinking about like the credits are running at 109 minutes.
There's like 8 minutes of credits. I was so happy.
I was thinking, are we about to talk about the for how long the movie is? But yeah, wow, we basically covered it, I think. Yeah.
Well, because I was just like, okay, if I sit and don't get distracted, I'll have like 15 minutes before we get on the call, and then it was just like 8 minutes of credits. I was like, I can relax. This is great. I was just like, every single credit's gonna have one line on screen, and they're gonna have like 20 seconds. It's like the credits for Darkness Falls. This kicks ass. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Almost Major. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Please follow the pod on Twitter at Almost Major to keep up to date with what movies we will be covering in the future. Myself, I can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at Kev Bonesy. Bryden can be found on Twitter at Bryden Doyle and on Letterboxd at J Doyle. Charlie can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at CTNash91. Once again, thank you for listening.
Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description